Hey, deserving listeners, it's time for part 2, in which I react to the Bachelorette episode that was on earlier this week. Let's watch.
I lost a major piece of me with my dad. Seeing him go through that, and oh my God.
Okay, so he's feeling some intense feelings right now, and that's normal. And again, I'll commend him for feeling it, for showing everyone on the planet that you can have these normal feelings. And so his father was a big part of his life, and he's feeling the feelings. The other thing that he's referring to is what he went, watching his dad go through something. So it sounds like there was some amount of struggle that the dad went through, and to be there with them while they're in pain or whatever it is can also be very hurt, very painful for people. And it sounds like he's remembering that, and he's feeling the feelings, which is healthy and good. And she's there to support him, which is also good.
I didn't know I was going to fall in love with you, and I am in love with you. You just make me the happiest I've ever been. And I see it with you. This is just real. This is real to me.
Yeah, it's interesting because other people on the show, they'll express love through words, but I don't know if I've ever seen, and I haven't watched this show that much, but a more genuine expression of love. I mean, I almost kind of say, stop the show, stop filming, because he's in a fragile place. This is too much. There seems like there's some risk here, given where he's at in life. Is he prone to depression? I worry about him. And then, of course, for her, I get the impression that she wants to commit. If she had to commit today, she would commit to him. But maybe she's like, even though, I want to be with him, I don't think I'm as in love with him as he is in love with me, which would be totally normal. You just met him. So there's that. But I also am under the impression that she's being told by the producers. I believe she's been on The Bachelor before, so she kind of knows the process that you can't really reveal things too early. And so I'm kind of worried that she is going to give a political answer to him, and that's going to hurt his feelings. Let's see what happens.
Honestly, I haven't been this vulnerable with anybody in my life. I don't know what else to show you at this point, or what else to tell you at this point.
Interesting. He's never been this vulnerable, which is interesting because from the start, he has been pretty vulnerable and pretty out there. So I just thought, well, he's just a healthy, emotional person and very vulnerable. But from his family, they're saying, I've never seen him like this before. So is it the context? Is it the love feelings? Is it finally the grief coming up? Is it just some change, or the compatibility that he feels with Katie that is causing this? So, I'm glad for him. But on the other hand, it means that he has reasons in the past, some relational trauma reasons or circumstantial trauma reasons, to suppress his vulnerability, and how scary this could be. And this is another thought that we call it vulnerability hangover, and it can happen on the podcast. Actually, I'll have people come on the podcast because I've been doing this for 13 years, and occasionally people will just get really vulnerable on the microphone. There's just something about being interviewed by, I guess I'm a therapist too, so I have certain emotional questions that I might ask people. But anyway, people come on the podcast, and then afterwards they'll text me or call me or something. And they'll be, I'm having a vulnerability hangover because I feel like I was too vulnerable on the podcast. And I'll say, well, I'll cut the episode, or I'll edit it down, or whatever you want to do. But I worry about him having some kind of vulnerability hangover because of he's not used to that, and it's on camera, and he's pouring his heart out to Katie, and she can't really reciprocate, or she doesn't really want to. It's normal, especially in the beginning of a relationship, for one person to be a little bit further down the road than the other person. Let's say you take someone that is together for 50 years. They're married for 50 years. Well, in the beginning, especially in the first few weeks, one person might be a little bit further down the love road than the other. You know, one person's like, oh yeah, definitely this is the one. And the other person's like, yeah, maybe. And then fast forward another year and they're both, yes, definitely yes. So I don't know if that's happening. I don't know if I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop and some huge conflict to happen that y'all want me to watch.
What?
I just love looking at you.
This is what I was worried about. I think we're watching it. So she can't commit because I'm pretty sure the producers are telling her, oh, don't. She just got out of a one-on-one with her family, with his family member, saying, I don't want to say front runner, but he's definitely at the top of the list. So if he knew that, I'm sure he would be reassured in this moment, but he doesn't know that. He just poured his heart out. He's in a fragile place because of his dad. And he's crying and he's like, I'm so in love with you. And under optimal circumstances, the other person reciprocates. And she's just smiling and saying, and nothing. She's not saying anything, but I don't think she can because of how the show works. And she might not be as into him as he is into her, which doesn't mean it's bad. So, and then he's like, what? And then you see him turn, you see his face turn. I'm like, dude, like, go to bed, you know? Actually, he's been drinking too, which can't help. So, yeah, kiss her, go, I'm emotionally worn out, honey. I got to go to bed. Kiss her, go to bed, wake up the next morning, put it behind you. Ugh.
And I really do believe in it. And we've made it this far for a reason. And it is going to be hard, but at the end of it, it's going to be worth it. You know how I feel about you though, right? You feel good about us?
All right. Good job, Katie. I think she saved it. She'd be a great politician. She knows exactly what to say without really saying it. Is that an insult to someone? Anyway, so she's very good with her words about communicating without breaking the rules of the show. Anyway, so I think that kind of helped him. But he had a moment there where I think he felt like he was, he had jumped off of a cliff going like, I have a parachute, right? And then he didn't feel the parachute. And then you just saw it in his face.
I just hate seeing you, like, be this way. I feel like I just can't get you out of it right now.
So he's in a funk, and she notices that and communicates it really well. Physical touch, you'll hear me talk about how when you're in a fight with someone, if you can and you want to, is to physically touch. Is a huge regulator of emotions and your body. So she's doing that. I think she's doing great. And I think he's just in a really vulnerable spot. I think he has a bit of a vulnerability hangover. I think he feels like he's extended himself and isn't getting the kind of enthusiastic love proclamations that he's been saying. And what could he say if he was in his shoes, if he were to be extremely differentiated, which I imagine would be very difficult under the circumstances? He might say something like, okay, what am I feeling right now? Well, what I'm feeling is I am terrified that you're not going to choose me in the end. And I know you can't say anything right now, but I just have to say, I have a sinking feeling that you're not going to choose me and you're going to hurt me. And I don't want to put any pressure on you, but I don't know what I would do if that happened. Like, it would just destroy me. So, because I'm so in love with you. Maybe something along those lines would, because sometimes when we speak them and own them, it diminishes them a little bit and diminishes the negative side of it a little bit. So let's see what he says.
I want to help, but I don't know what to do.
What do you mean?
You're just not happy right now.
Why do you think that?
I mean, it's your body language, it's the way you're talking. It's
Tell me then, why do you think I'm not happy?
Okay, it's starting. I'm just like, dude, just go to bed. You'll feel better in the morning, probably. So she's saying, now on one hand, she could actually just sit quietly with him. They're on a TV show, they're supposed to talk, so maybe she feels pressure to say something, I don't know. But maybe it would have been better if the two of them just, chilled for half an hour, not talking, let things kind of calm down a little bit. But she starts, you seem a little upset. I don't know what to do. It's actually good communication. She's slightly asking, could you please cheer up? But not really. I don't know. But that could be a message he could be receiving. And he is, and she doesn't know what to do. And she's sad for him. And so, pretty good owning of her own feelings in that. She's not being a jerk face at all. But his aggression or his hostility is starting to emerge right now. I think it's because of his fear that he's going to lose her and that she doesn't really love him. And he's hurt, and he is a little passive aggressively saying, what do you, and she's like, your body language, it's clear. And, I'm sure he knows that he's in a different state than he was 3 minutes ago. So let's see if he can pull himself out of this nosedive.
This whole thing, like having to go through this is hard. Like knowing that like I don't get to see you tomorrow, knowing that there are other guys here, knowing that there are other hometowns, like the stuff that we don't really talk about, but is the reality of like what this is the hard part about this.
All right. So she's doing great. She's saying what is on her mind. Again, if this was a normal circumstance, I think she would say, you know that I love you, right? You know I want to be with you. Because there's a lot of messages she's essentially saying that. She's like, I've been telling you, you just got to hold on. You just got to hold on. You just bear with the process. I've already chosen you, but I can't tell you that. It seems like that's what she's saying, but she can't be explicit because of the show and the rules and the producers in her ear. And so, because they're like, we have more episodes, we got to shoot. Anyway, so I don't know that. I don't want to accuse anyone of anything. But under normal circumstance, I'm guessing that's what she would say, and that would reassure him. Also, she would say, I'm not going to date any more people. Like, that's got to be rough for him, too, of just like, I'm getting this kind of vibe right now. I don't know if I'm interpreting right now. She's going to date and make out with other guys. This woman that I love, that I want to be in a monogamous, exclusive relationship with, that I have never felt this way before. She's going to make out with other dudes tomorrow because that's what she does. She, I think, and it doesn't it usually get more intense as they move forward into the season. Anyway, so he's hurt. He's upset, but he doesn't know how to deal with it, and he is exhibiting some hostility, some like how. The vibe I'm getting from him is, how dare you, essentially. Let's see if he can pull himself out.
It's been a struggle, and I just like hope it's something we can get through because we are so close to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on one hand, Katie is seeing another side of him that maybe she hasn't seen before, and that helps in terms of her decision-making process, which might cause her not want to choose him. Now, he's not doing anything terrible right now on these shows. We've seen much worse behavior. He's clearly hurt and afraid, and he doesn't know what to do, and so he's giving the silent treatment and the blank face and the what are you talking about kind of attitude, which people will do. A lot of people will do that, and it's not terrible, but it is a mode that he goes, and I'm sure Katie has some version of that herself. No one doesn't have some version of that. So interestingly, his fear of losing her can cause him potentially to lose her in this moment, which of course is true for all of us. We all do this. Every relationship that everyone has ever been in, including myself, we will, in an effort to not lose someone because we're so worried about losing someone, we will actually, because of our defenses, shoot ourselves in the foot and risk the relationship.
Okay.
Should we go outside?
Sure.
I think there's also a message he's trying to get across. I'm not quite sure. Usually silent treatments or bad mood-itis, if you will, is a way of communicating something. And I'm guessing he is trying to communicate he wants her to express as much emotion towards him as he has done towards her. And or he wants her to say, I don't love those other guys. I don't want to be with them. The show is making me be with them. I only want to be with something more definitive. I think he, because when we give silent treatments, we're definitely communicating something like, I want you to do this, this, and this, but we're too afraid to say that out loud because we feel like we're going to get rejected. So we hope that they can read our minds. I think that's what he's doing, but I don't know.
This is just hard for me.
I know, like, I get it.
I don't know if you do.
I do. Like, how do you think I feel going through it and having to, like, be so committed to you and then have to, like, meet someone else's family?
It's also possible that he isn't comfortable being as vulnerable on camera anymore because he's really been laying it out. So now they're in the dark talking, and he's, I think, being more explicit about how he's feeling. He's like, I don't think you do understand. I think he's wrong. I think she does understand. And maybe he doesn't watch this show very much, because if you watch this show, you understand that she is essentially, she has to be kind of a politician in this final phase. The Bachelorette that I watched a little bit of, maybe it was just the last season, the Bachelorette essentially fell in love and chose her guy during the limo drive-up scene. And she's like, oh my God, this is the guy. And the season ended early because of that. And she destroyed a season. So the producers, all the staff, and all the money that goes into the show, I'm quite sure, one, chooses people so that they're more stable around that sort of thing, and also coaches them continually. I'm sure there are long meetings every day where they talk with the producers about this and that. And one of the things they say is, okay, remember, don't choose. You can kind of choose in your mind, maybe, but don't even do that, because we want the energy to be real and spontaneous and genuine. So I'm guessing she knows that, but I don't think he gets it. I think he's like, well, we're in love, right? And we're not on a TV show that has this agenda that's to sell advertisements. Like we're and he's like, come on, tell me you love me. Come on. And so he's saying, this is really hard for me. And she's like, yeah, I understand that. He's like, I don't think you do. Now, maybe I don't know. I think she does. I get the feeling like she does get it, but he's in a rough place. I can't. The most emotionally stable person on the planet would be this would be really hard for them. And I'm sure he's not the most emotionally stable person on the planet. Not because he's a terrible human being, just because I don't think anyone is the most. Well, that'd be interesting. I wonder if there'd be some kind of way you could test to find the most emotionally stable person on the planet. I wonder if that could be devised.
I can't be the end if I don't think it's us.
I promise.
I really can't. That was the biggest step in the world for me tonight.
I know.
I'm just letting you know.
I do know.
I just don't understand how you don't know at this point. I just don't get it.
So now we're getting into part of his dark side. I think we've seen a lot of his positive side. Now we're getting into his dark side, where I think she's being extremely clear. Now, we have the benefit of seeing her talk to the family members, where she was even more clear. But he's going to a pretty black and white place, which might also indicate some more things to us. Like, when we come from a black and white place, it's usually indicative of traumas growing up or lack of experience. When 13-year-olds date, they're usually very black and white. Oh my God, I'm in love with this person. And then the next day, I hate this person. I hope they drop off the face of the earth. By the time you turn 35, it mellows out a little bit. Yeah, hopefully. You're more like, yeah, I could see myself getting into this person, and yeah, things didn't work out. 13-year-olds don't talk that way. Hashtag not all 13-year-olds. But so we're starting to see that black and white in him, where it was all, and then now it's the pressure, which I get where it comes from. Of course, he is in love. He's desperately in love, and a lot of things depend on this relationship. And he's like, I just don't understand why you don't know. I'm feeling it from you. Like, how come you don't know it's me yet? I'm sure that's what he's asking. Like, how do you not just say you've already decided? But that's a delusional thought. Jeez, this is the TV show. There's more weeks of shooting. So maybe it's that black and white thinking.
That's me and you at this point. I just don't get it. That's what's killing me. I'm just confused.
I just feel like Like you're losing trust in us.
I'm not losing trust. I'm like losing my here.
Yeah, I mean, I get both of them. For her, she is saying everything she can possibly say without saying it, but it's not actually saying it. And he isn't. I mean, so if there was one person I would sort of turn a dial on psychologically, it'd be him. I don't think there's anything Katie needs to do. I think what he needs to do is just trust. Because I'm pretty sure she has already chose you, dude. Like, just trust it. 1, 2, go to bed. You're a little intoxicated. You've been through a lot of stuff today. Go to bed, sleep it off, chill, watch some Hulu, whatever. On Hulu, they got Rick and Morty. They got It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. They got all sorts of things you can watch. And just have a chill day, and you'll probably be more flexible after that. That's what I would say to him.
I've never felt like you've wanted to give up until right now.
I've also never felt like you were holding things back from me until tonight, so.
What do you need to know? Like what?
What do I need to know?
So I don't know. I'm not them, but I don't think she was holding back. I think she was seeing so much of him emoting and feeling and grieving his father, and she was there. I mean, it seemed to me like her body language, she was there. Now, maybe there's a little bit of holding back, and I could absolutely see the gears in her head possibly turning of, I really want to like just hug him and kiss him and be with him and cry with him, but that's not what this scene is supposed to be. We're supposed to be on a couch, and we have to remember that this isn't like a isolated relationship. There are cameras and lights and people and context and that affect things. And so I could just imagine her going, okay, I'll listen. I'm here, and I'm not going to interject anything. I'm going to listen. I'm not going to interrupt him. I'm here. I'm holding his hand. I'm eye contact. And then he interpreted it as her pulling back or not being into her, and that triggered him. Now, maybe this is some broader issue. He's talked about how in the past he hasn't had he's never been in love like this before. He's been sad for a long time. So we're seeing some evidence with him of some black and white thinking, which indicates either inexperience or traumas early in life. We get with enough love and attunement and support, we're able to see the grays in life. And without that, we still retain that black and white thinking. Anyway, I won't go into details on that. We're also seeing a way of dealing with it for him of pressure. Instead of saying, well, I guess I don't, I'm feeling a little bit of distance with her right now, but, I don't know what to do about that. But his approach is to pressure, is to demand in a way, which isn't terrible. When you're in love and you're asking for something, you're asserting something. Please tell me that you love me. There's some health to that, but there's a tinge of, I don't know, how do I say it? There's a tinge of anger there, which isn't terrible, depending. There's a tinge of, and I don't know if I want to say, I won't say that word because that'll trigger everyone. There's a tinge of assuredness. He seems like he's assured himself as to what's happening instead of saying, well, I'm feeling this, but who knows what's really happening. So let's watch.
I told you it's not going to be easy.
God, here we go. Yeah, this ain't easy.
We'll go outside.
Yeah, if I was to put a vibe on it, I don't know how old he is, but the sort of vibe of relation. If I just seen this scene, I didn't know how old everyone was, I would think that he was a teenager. I'm not putting him down. We all have regressions. You'll hear me talk about that all the time. When we're really distressed and we go into a fetal position, that's a regression. when we are sad and we lay our head in our spouse's lap while they, massage our head or something, that's a regression to an earlier point in life, and that's okay. It's functional to do that. Well, it can be functional, it can be dysfunctional. It's just a part of our way of coping. But anyway, the vibe he has is of someone that, it's, now I'll say teenagers, but what I really mean is your very first relationships, maybe even the very first one, the first significant relationship, romantic relationship that you have. We tend to have a really hard time with nuance in those kinds of relationships. Not always, but we want it to be we want the other person to be all in. We don't want any ambiguity about it. It's supposed to be like it is in the rom-coms or the Disney movies where you're in love and it's wonderful. And the more relationships you go through, the more you realize, oh, you know what? Yeah, there are moments of closeness, but there are moments when you don't even want to be with each other anymore. And it's relationships are work, So the vibe I'm getting from him is one of just like, but it should always feel good. It should always be in love. I should have your undivided attention. Why isn't it like that? This is so hard for me right now. And it feels like that's where the struggle is coming from.
I'm really confused. I don't get it. I truly don't.
Yeah, maybe he'll reveal something that will convince me as to why one would be confused, but I don't understand why he's confused. He's on a reality TV show where, periodically people are eliminated, and the Bachelorette can't reveal they're not even supposed to choose in their mind between the individuals until the very end. So he seems like he doesn't understand that he's on that show. So now, is it because he doesn't understand the show very well? Is it because he's so in love that he just can't deal with that? Is it that he has relational traumas that are being triggered right now? If I had a client like this, the one hypothesis that I would investigate is, have you ever been in a relationship significantly, particularly when you were young, where you felt like you weren't getting the love and attention that you felt like you deserved, and it made you very hurt and sort of angry, because possibly that's being transferred onto her.
What can't you share with me right now? Especially when you can see I need it. I'm so confused.
So that's an interesting statement. How come you can't give me the love and attention that I need, especially when you see that I need it, when I communicated it to you, which is that other part of that vulnerability. He both showed his vulnerability when he was crying in a healthy way, in a positive way, in a way that is easy for her to hear and understand and receive. And he also communicated it through his silent treatment. And, but I say silent treatment because that's probably not a fair term. He was just bad mood face, bad mood vibe, upset vibe. So, but that's an interesting statement. How could you do this to me? How could you betray me? There's a betrayal in there, it seems. And so maybe that's part of his history, is some major betrayal traumas. And you can develop betrayal traumas from obvious betrayals, like a very common one is when a divorce happens and one of the parents doesn't spend any time with the kids anymore. That can be very betraying to a child. Another obvious betrayal is when a parent abuses a child. That's a betrayal. But sometimes you can develop real subtle experiences that are interpreted as betrayals in children. It could be real subtle emotional neglect, or favoring of other children, or your even illness. You could be depressed as a parent, and the child could feel betrayed by your lack of attention. So there's a lot of roads to a betrayal schema, and he seems like maybe he's exhibiting that.
Dude, what the just happened?
See, and now I'm guessing he is terrified even more because he's thinking, crap, did I just ruin it? now I've pushed her away. Now I've ruined it. Now she really doesn't love me. Now I'm going to really fall into a well of despair, a pit of despair. So I don't think he has, at least in this moment, maybe tomorrow he'll wake up and he'll be better, but I don't know if he has the ego strength to withstand what's happening. I'm guessing it's just going to decompensate, or maybe this is the entirety of it. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Tune in next time when I continue. I didn't realize there was so much to react to. There's just so much to say, but tune in next time when I continue. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.